Yo, 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 we are back in the building. Do me a favor. Let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. We have a lot of news to cover tonight. I think I will if we get the super chats that we so desperately appreciate and desire. I believe I will make this a call in show at the end to let people give their opinions on what's going on. We are definitely in our Pan African bag tonight. Nigeria has bombed Benin. Nigeria has bombed Benin, and I'm going to tell you why if you keep watching this stream. Also, there's been another stabbing in Charlotte, North Carolina, on the same train where the Ukrainian immigrant was stabbed just a few months ago in August of this year. Also, Somalians warn Black Americans, putting them on notice that this is their country now, and that they are going to continue. Excuse me, they're going to continue to take over certain areas within America, and there's really nothing Black Americans or any other Americans, for that matter, can do about it. We're going to get into that bag, and also Donald Trump. He scores a major victory with the Supreme Court that has these people so mad. They can't stand Trump. We appreciate Trump and what he does for the country, but there are some people, if Trump says it's up, they gonna say it's down. If Trump says it's left, they gonna say it's right. It's just, it is what it is, right? But we're gonna cover how he pissed them off once again. Also, we're gonna just keep going. If everything's good, you guys are supporting. I give love, I receive love, I reciprocate. There's also a situation with Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago. Bro basically melted down on national television today because his budget didn't get approved by the city council. He's a crybaby, but we're gonna cover all that. So just roll with us. Right, you're on the train, not in Charlotte, North Carolina, obviously, but just hang out with us for a while. And let's do this. Let's do this thing. So first and foremost, there was a coup attempt in the country, West African country of Benin. It's a very small country located in the Sahel, I believe, and it is a part of ECOWAS. Lately, there's been a lot of dust being kicked up with these different military-led coups that have sought to overthrow governments that many people believe are nothing but fronts for Western, more specifically French rule and dominance and supremacy. So we're getting mixed reactions to these attempted coups. Many people celebrate the coup that happened in Burkina Faso that saw Ibrahim Traore take control of the country. Black people all over the world celebrated that. I'm going to give Traore a chance. I said I would do that, and I'm going to do that. But I am waiting for him to produce the things that he said he would be able to produce as leader of the country after overthrowing the leadership in Burkina Faso. So now we have Benin, where the military has attempted a coup there, and it didn't go so well. It didn't go so well, and it actually led to ECOWAS forces being sent to the country. Ghana sent some troops. Cote d'Ivoire sent some troops. And I believe Senegal sent some troops. And basically, the people who initiated the coup, they got pretty scared pretty fast, and they tried to hightail it out of the country. So we're going to watch a clip to give us a little bit more insight on what's happening over there. And feel free to let me know in the comments what you think about it. And after we watch the clip, I'm going to tell you what I think about it. We're going to learn together. We're going to grow together. We're going to do it all together. Tuko pamoja. We are together, in Swahili, just in case you didn't know. Let me get this video up.
Benin's government says it has foiled a coup attempt after a group of soldiers in the West African nation led by Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigri announced on national television that they had ousted the president and seized power. The foreign minister refuted those claims, saying the majority of the National Guard and the military remain loyal to President Patrice Talon. A government spokesperson says 14 people have been arrested in connection with that attempt to take control. Let's take a listen now to the Interior Minister.
Fellow countrymen and women, on this Sunday, December the 7th, 2025, in the early morning, a small group of soldiers engaged in mutiny in order to destabilize the state and its institutions. Before this situation, the Benin armed forces and their hierarchy, faithful to their oath, remained republican. They fought back and allowed the situation to remain under control and to fail the maneuver. Thus, the government invites the population to keep acting as usual. Thank you.
For more on what's been happening, I'm joined by our Foreign Affairs editor, Kedeven Gorgistani. Always lovely to have you on set with us. So authorities announced this coup is done. They foiled it. Things are back to normal. So what's the latest on the ground now?
Well, first of all, those arrests that you mentioned, the 14 soldiers who have been arrested, confirmed by the government spokesperson, that included those who were involved in that attempted coup, those men that you see there that went to that state television station to announce that they had taken control and that the president was being removed from office. We don't know if all of them were arrested, but they are part of the 14 at least. So we'll get more information probably later on today or tomorrow. Now, on the ground in the city of Cotonou, the situation just a few hours ago was still a little bit uncertain because there were still reports of some sporadic gunshots around the city in certain areas. And again, a couple of hours ago, there were still some areas of the city that were off limits, blocked off by the military. Those were, of course, strategic areas, the area around the presidential palace, obviously, the area that includes a lot of the seats of international organizations was also off limits, as well as a five-star hotel, the Sofitel, which brings in a lot of foreigners, other important people from around the region. So that one was also blocked. We'll see if that also evolved as the hours go by. But overall, in the rest of the city, as you see there, the traffic was returning to normal. There were reports that people actually went and assisted those Sunday church services normally and then went on home. So everything is slowly getting back to business as usual, if you will. One question now is whether or not we will have another sort of formal official statement by someone in the government, because there have been no statements since that communication by the Interior Minister. And the question, of course, being where is the president? They say that he's safe and sound, but we don't know exactly where he is right now.
Now, as you mentioned, this attempt seemed to be wrapped up in a space of just a few hours, but there are elections coming up in Benin. So could there be more here than just this failed coup?
Well, look, coups don't usually happen in a complete vacuum, and this is the second coup attempt in Benin. The last one was, again, a foiled attempt where they arrested a couple of people close to actually the president. That was back in September 2024, so just a little bit over a year ago. That means there is some level of discontent, at least in the countries, and those who took place in this attempted coup when they were before explaining why they were doing that on state TV, they said that their power grab was in part justified by, for example, the continuous deterioration of the security situation in the north of the country. They also talk about the neglect of soldiers, about the problems with civil liberties. And this criticism, especially of the security situation in the north, is not limited to those soldiers. It has been a criticism that has been growing from the opposition. The president, Patrice Talon, he's been in power since 2016. He is term limited. And as you said, there are those elections coming up in April. And so the context is, of course, very political. He's term limited, but he has already picked a successor, his current finance minister, and his ruling coalition has banned the main opposition candidate from running against that successor. And they've passed a constitutional change that extends the presidential term from 5 to 7 years. So the situation, the political tension is there. We'll see how the next months evolve.
A lot to keep a watch on. Thank you so much, Ketavan Gorgestani from our International Affairs Desk.
Okay, so we understand now a little bit more about what's going on in Benin. It just looks like a typical African coup situation. The party that is in control, if what's being said by the coup plotters is true, they have been put in a position where democracy has basically been stolen. The president of Benin, he is term limited. He's out after 10 years. He's coming up on the limit of his term. He can't run anymore, but he's already named a successor, kind of like a king or something. And they're saying that the majority party has banned the leader of the opposition party from even running for president. So that right there makes no sense. So this is if what they say is true, right? But I really feel that, is a coup the right thing to do? I don't know, but it seems like there may have been some room to handle this in a democratic way and find a solution that didn't involve overthrowing the government. A lot of times with the African countries, I feel like they reflect, in my opinion, African-American communities. It's just like we're so drunk or so obsessed with this idea of instant gratification. Like, you have to work a process for it to be successful. You can't just say, oh, one person abused the process, so I'm going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's overthrow the government and let the military take over. That doesn't always work. And I keep hearing this situation about the security situation in the north of these Sahel countries, these West African countries. And obviously that has something to do with radical Islam and the terrorist groups that occupy the borders of some of these countries. My thing is this: you're overthrowing the government because you object to the deteriorating security situation, but at the same time, you are of the same religion as the people who are terrorizing the country. I mean, I don't understand how that works. You guys are all Muslims, and then these Muslims are like terrorizing your country. And you're like, yeah, let's overthrow the government because we're going to fix it. I don't think it's been fixed. I haven't really been checking up on the situation with Ibrahim Traore, but I don't think he's really made any ground over there with the security situation, because the elections that he promised would take place in July of 2025, they never happened. And his excuse was the country's still not safe. But as far as I know, there's no updates coming out of that country. The crazy thing is Benin called on Nigeria to bomb the coup plotters out of their strongholds. So that tells me that it was a lot, in my opinion. If you're bombing them, that means they were a pretty significant size group, right? But it's crazy that Nigeria could respond so quickly to bombing targets in Benin with fighter jets, But when it comes to the radical Islamists in the north of Nigeria, they're powerless to stop it. Tinubu is quick to order a fighter jet strike on the coup plotters in Benin, but when it comes to the radicalized Islamists in the north of Nigeria, he puts his hands up like he just can't do anything about it. So Nigeria is a very capable country. We understand that. That's why it makes absolutely no sense when you see the type of security breaches that are happening there. Women being kidnapped out of government buildings. People in the north being slaughtered by the hundreds, by the thousands. And the only response I'm getting from Nigerians and even the government is, oh, it's not religiously motivated. Dude, you have fighter jets. You could bomb people. You probably could buy. Nigeria probably has a couple of drones for all we know. They do have money. But it's like they don't seem to be willing to use any of this to help their country. But they're quick to use it to bomb Benin. I see a couple of little dudes on the black channels and stuff, the African channels, the Pan-African channels. I saw some dudes celebrating this. Oh, yeah, there was a coup, and they're happy about that. But in my opinion, it's just the celebration of chaos. But if you look at a lot of African people and a lot of African-American people, you know, they thrive on chaos. If you look at the chaos in their communities, they're celebrating coming from these garbage dump communities. Oh, riddled with crime, overrun by thugs and drugs. Oh, man, I'm from whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. They're proud of that. So when I see them celebrate the chaos that comes with a coup in a West African country, I understand the paradigm. I understand the mindset that is there. These people don't know what peace and tranquility and stability and progress even look like, because they are in many ways born of chaos. So of course they're going to cheer it on when they see it unfolding in another place. But the leader of Benin, you still got your country for now. The coup tells you that the people are not happy with the way things are being done. So if there is any truth to what the coup plotters are saying about your government basically robbing them of their democracy, robbing them of their ability to choose who they want for leadership, then you need to change your ways sooner rather than later. It's going to catch you on 11/20, as my grandma used to say. I don't know what that means exactly, but I pretty much think it means it's going to catch up with you eventually. And then we're going to know what's really going on. So peace to the citizens of Benin. I wish y'all all the best. I ain't never going to come there to visit because y'all clearly ain't got y'all stuff together. But somebody will. It just won't be me. I hope you guys get things together. And I hope they allow opposition to run for the presidency. That's it. Shout out to my boy Robert Lee Williamson in the comments, in the chat. Cuzzo, Trump is separating America from European countries due to civilization being lost to brown people. Are you sure you want to continue on American Republican conservative politics? That's not the topic. But why would I care about Trump separating European countries, America from European countries? Dude, the dude just got sentenced to like a year in prison in Britain, in England, for a post he made on X, on Twitter. He got sentenced to a year in jail for a post he made on Twitter. You want to get separated from places like that. Those places have been totally overrun by criminal immigrants, and their governments have been subverted. Now, if you say, hey, these Palestinian illegals need to leave our country, they knocking on your door, taking you to jail. That's what you want to be attached to? I'm asking you, Cuzzo, are you sure you want to go in that direction? Because the direction you're going in, or the what you're criticizing Trump for doing, is separating us from countries that have totally abandoned the idea of liberty and freedom and like protecting their citizens. These countries are now operating in the best interest of immigrants that come from other countries. I don't think you really want that. I think someone saying Trump, someone said the 3 words Trump, brown people, and separate, and you heard the 3 buzzwords, wiggled your nose like I Dream of Genie, and or Bewitched, and all of a sudden you think you figure something out. You need to do your research. I don't believe in all this brown people nonsense. What does that even mean? The Mexicans will stab you to death in the county jail if you go there? That's what you mean when you say brown people? The Arabs who will spit on you and beat you and enslave you first chance they get? Is that what you mean by brown people? You got to tell me what you mean by brown people. Because part of me, one of my earlobes feels like it hears you telling me that I should try to make believe or pretend to believe in some type of unity between African American people and other people from other countries that historically have treated us like crap. So yeah, you give me some definitions on the words you're using, and I'll be better able to come to a conclusion. Till then, keep going, Mr. Trump. He's doing God's work as far as I'm concerned. So we got to move on to our next topic. That's my brother right there, though. So if y'all like, bro, you switching and getting off topic, he always supports this channel since day one. So he'll always be able to interject and make a point, and I'm going to respond to it. So if you hate that, I'm sorry, but we're in our bag right now. So to get to our next topic, we getting through them. Any comments you want highlighted, any topics you might want discussed, put them in the form of a super chat. I'll see them. I'll post them. I'll respond to it. If it's something that's really intriguing or some good news, I'll go into it in depth, give you like a 10 to 12 minute, spill on it. But this is probably the only channel where you can do that in real time. Just bring up a topic and get it discussed. But so next we have another train stabbing in the city of Charlotte, North Carolina. Like, what is up with these people in this state, Charlotte, this Democrat-run city, and people getting stabbed on the train by illegal criminal aliens? Well, the last incident in August, it was a mentally deranged African-American man who had been arrested 78 times and released 78 times or 79 times. And he heard voices. He even went to the extent of calling the police to help him because he was in the middle of a psychotic episode. And what the police did, instead of helping him, they actually blew him off. And when he called 911 again, they actually arrested him that time for abusing the 911 emergency system. And then he was released again. Well, he's mentally unstable. He knows that. I'm sure the city of Charlotte is well aware of that. And they decided that letting this guy walk the streets was a bright idea. So he was talking to himself, wandered on the train, saw a young white Ukrainian woman sitting on the train, and jumped up and stabbed her in the neck a bunch of times. She died. And he said it was racially motivated. He said he targeted her because she was white. Now you have a criminal illegal alien migrant from God knows where. He now has got on a train in Charlotte, North Carolina, and stabbed another woman. And so this is starting to be a trend, but it's been a problem. We have the refusal to deal with the mentally ill within America, so they get to roam the streets, creating chaos and harming people and falling asleep in the doorway of Starbucks and pooping in public spaces. So you as a taxpayer, you have to deal with that for whatever reason. And now we have the illegal immigrants that many of you, for some reason, want to allow to come in this country by the millions. They are now revealing themselves to be exactly who I and many others warned you that they were murderous thugs who were released from prisons. They were released from South American prisons and they were sent to America purposely. These people were released from prisons in South America and they were purposely sent to the United States to become our problem. But if someone is a psychotic, drug addicted criminal in their country, changing their geographical location is not going to change who they are. They might get over here and say, you know what, I'm going to enjoy the good life for a couple of months, but eventually they will go back to being the deranged lunatics that you and many people like you are fighting Donald Trump to keep in this country. And when I look at stories like this, it just makes me know that your reason for fighting for these people is not genuine. It's not because you truly believe these people should be here. You fight these people because anyone who is an enemy of Trump is a friend of yours. As the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But there's another saying that goes a little something like this. Be careful what you wish for. You might get it. And that's exactly what's happening. I struggle to feel remorse for these people in these blue cities and in these blue states because they are asking to have criminals, rapists, drug addicts, drug dealers, murderers. They're fighting to have these people roam among them freely in society. It's like somebody asking, hey, they go to the zoo and it's a bunch of tigers up in a cage. You need to let those tigers out. You know it's wrong to lock them tigers up like that. Well, ma'am or sir, if I let these tigers out, they're going to eat you. They're man eaters, ma'am, sir. Mr. Ma'am. I don't care. And then they let the tigers out and the tiger attacks them. And they say, why would you let those tigers out? And you knew they were going to attack people. I'm telling you, people who try to sue people over hot coffee spilling on them are all of a sudden the most toughest thugs on earth and feel like they're ready to walk amongst the drug cartels in real time. It really makes no sense. But hey, the world is getting stranger and stranger as the days go by.
An illegal migrant that had been deported twice before is now facing charges after allegedly stabbing a man on the Charlotte light rail system. It's the exact same rail where police say a career criminal stabbed a Ukrainian refugee to death back in August.
Chanley Painter joins us now with those details. Chanley? Hey, good morning. So police say the suspect allegedly broke into a railroad car while intoxicated before stabbing the victim. 33-year-old Oscar Soloranzo of Honduras was arrested and will be in court tomorrow. DHS confirming the suspect is a twice deported illegal migrant with a lengthy criminal history in the United States. He was deported by the Trump administration in 2018 and re-entered illegally during the Biden administration in 2021. Then he was deported a second time by the Biden administration and then re-entered illegally again. He also has a prior conviction for robbery in the U.S. and prior arrest for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, resisting arrest, and false ID. He is now charged with attempted murder for the stabbing, among many other charges, after allegedly breaking into that light rail train while intoxicated, while carrying a large fixed-blade knife, where he then challenged the victim to fight before attacking him with that knife. This stabbing attack is all happening on the same rail line where 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska was stabbed to death just months ago by a suspected career criminal. Well, President Donald Trump reacted on Truth Social saying this, quote, "Another stabbing by an illegal migrant in Charlotte, North Carolina. What's going on in Charlotte? Democrats are destroying it like everything else, piece by piece." Officials say the stabbing victim remains in the hospital and is being treated for very serious injuries, guys.
All right, Chanley, thank you.
Thanks, Chanley.
Greg, North Carolina GOP Congressman Mark Harris joining us now. Congressman.
Yeah, we don't need to hear him. the thing that really bothers me about these stabbings and the crime that's happening is when we hear reports of the crime happening, do you ever notice that the Democrats are totally silent? Where's Brandon Johnson? Where's Ilhan Omar? Where's the oversight Dems? That's their new crew they got. The oversight Dems. Where are these people who y'all keep telling me are the better option? Where are they when American people are being killed? Did he ask the guy before he stabbed him to death? Did he say, hey, what political party are you a part of? Did he say, yo, is you a Republican or is you a Democrat? Before this crazy deranged lunatic stabbed this poor white precious angel in her neck on that train, did he ask her what was her party affiliation? This is why I'm trying hard to understand, how are you benefiting from supporting policies that keep these people on the street? How? Is there like a badge you're all going to wear to say, hey, don't kill me, I voted for the Democrats? It clearly looks like these deranged lunatics don't care. It clearly looks like they're not worried about party affiliation. And that, in my opinion, is what we all used to understand as Americans. We knew, hey, look, you might disagree with me on the way this country is run, but we all understood that these bloodthirsty degenerates, they didn't care about that. That was the common ground. When someone comes around to break in houses, they don't look for political affiliation lawn signs. They just say, that looks like a good lick. Let me go get it. Let me go hit it. When the thug decide which lady's purse to snatch, he don't say, oh, did she support Kamala Harris? I like her. No, they just go do the crime. But I can't get an honest conversation. It's like these days, it's impossible. It's almost impossible to get a good faith conversation out of people who fall on the left side of the aisle. It's like they know the stuff that they believe is pure BS and nonsense, but they just don't care. They're like, I know this is nonsense. I know what I'm saying makes absolutely no sense, but they don't care. They'll tell you, oh, what I believe is not facts, but it's my opinion. For them, that's all that matters. For them, that is all that matters. They know what the crap they're saying is not factual, but they'll keep spewing it because that's just their opinion. That's just their opinion. And I'm like, at what point does your opinion start to be influenced by reality and truth? It's crazy to me that there are adults who will be like, yeah, I formulated a whole opinion based on something I didn't even know it was true, whether it was true or not. Bro, we grown out here. And people are still out here like, yeah, it don't got to be true, but it's just my opinion. They feel emboldened. They feel empowered. They feel empowered by being ignorant. How the hell does that work? My ignorance makes me stronger. I don't know a single person like in my circle. I don't know a single person in my circle who's like, that's the way of life that they want to live. Oh, the more ignorant, it doesn't matter if what I'm saying is totally untrue or is a lie. As long as it's what I believe, then it's all good. And you have many people out here who live by that. They live by that type of ignorance. Hold on, I'm trying to they feel empowered by it. And you see it more and more in the arguments of the people that many would call Trump deranged. I don't care. I don't know if it's true or I know it's not true, but this is my opinion. I'm like, man, must be a hard life. And I'm okay with people believe in something based on their opinion. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, that's so dangerous for our country. That's such a threat to our country. You know, people who think like that. Doesn't matter if there's any facts to it. It's just my opinion. And my opinion, you know, is all that matters. It's sad. It's really sad. It's really pathetic. And it really needs to change. Let me see this. And Flacco gave you your flowers tonight. Said you one of the best hosts who ever worked at No Jumper. Hey, I appreciate, bro. Shout out to my main man Flacco. I appreciate Flacco for the opportunity. But sometimes you gotta sometimes respect and truth and dignity have to rule. You can't just always go for what's the clout and what's the hype. You gotta stand on your own too as a man. Period. Thank you so much. LA Thorn the Martian. I'm gonna get this super chat in a second. Everybody ready, but I'm gonna get the super chats together. So if you plan on sending super chats, please do it now because I want to read them all together. So feel free to sound off in the comments as to what you think about the Charlotte stabbing and all this stuff that I'm talking about. At the end, I'll open up the lines for maybe 10, 15 minutes to let whoever would like to call in and talk about some of these issues that are going on. Attorney Tyke said Benin had a foreign country airstrike their citizens that's been trying to end the monarchy over them. Well, I don't know if it's a monarchy, Attorney Tyke. The president has a 10-year term limit, right? This is the end of his term. But I did look at the video, and they did say that bro basically banned the opposition party from running for president or nominating a candidate for president, and he named the dude who's going to succeed him. So I believe what you're saying is right. What you're saying is seemingly based on the story told by the coup plotters is correct. Period. Yeah, capitalism ain't never falling apart. We're going to get to all these topics. We're going to get to all those super chats. Let's do one more topic. And then we'll get into the super chats. And then we got some more topics, y'all. Like I said, y'all show me love. I'm going to cover everything that I've been paying attention to today and the things I've been following. But, reciprocate. So, as you all know, there are over 70 Somalians in the state of Minnesota who have been indicted on fraud charges. There are over 70 Somalian people who have been indicted on fraud charges by the federal government, being accused of stealing what some analysts and experts and investigators say could be or estimate to be up to $8 billion. Over 70 Somalian residents of Minnesota have been accused of abusing or defrauding the Feed Our Future program, and a program that was aimed at helping children with autism. They're being accused of defrauding these programs for over $8 billion. And obviously, President Trump is not too happy about that. So he has ended the temporary protective status of Somalian immigrants in America. Before we get into this, I want you to understand over 90% of the Somalis living in the state of Minnesota, they are legal American citizens, as much of Americans as you or I. But there is a significant portion within their ranks that are immigrants from Somalia who are only here because they have been granted temporary protection status by the United States government on behalf of the United States taxpayers. So both legal and illegal, well, not illegal, both legal Somali citizens and Somali migrants under temporary protective status were involved in this multi-billion-dollar fraud ring. And just this morning, I was on TikTok and I was having a discussion with some people, and it seems that we are defaulting as African Americans back to the racism narrative. This is all about racism. It has nothing to do with the $8 billion that was stolen. It has everything to do with the fact that they're black and Donald Trump is a racist. How people come to these conclusions when there's evidence right in front of their face proving otherwise is beyond me. It's beyond me. Black folks, we do this well. But what's funny is the Somalians are now using this excuse, totally ignoring or trying to dodge the earnest, good faith questions that people are asking about their community's silence when it came to the massive fraud. They sidestep that question and say, no, Donald Trump is just a racist and he does not like Somalian people. And for many African American people, that seems to be enough. I'm sorry, guys, but if someone is guilty of sin, caught red-handed, you're not going to be able to use the retroactive race card to get me to take your side. No, you stole. Donald Trump wouldn't even say nothing about y'all until y'all start stealing. And you stole. You wrote a check that your ass couldn't cash. You took a chance. You took a shot. And you actually hit the target. But in the long run, you missed. Because now, for the few Somalis who actually were able to become rich or wealthy from that $8 billion, they have punished and sentenced thousands more of their brethren to go back to the country of Somalia. And for that, they want us to show them sympathy. I mean, is it just me? Is it just me, or is this absolutely
so 20 past?
We got some new details concerning the fraud, and I want to share those details with you all so you can be informed when you walk away from this. And when some criminal-loving liberal tries to convince you, you'll have a little ammo with which to fire back at them. And maybe the thing they hate the most, logical, good faith questions.
So 20 past the hour now on a Monday morning, the glare of the spotlight now falling on Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Questions popping up about what she knew and when about a massive COVID fraud scheme in her district. Talking billions, could be billions, at least 1 billion, could go higher. Mike Tobin's got more on that now. Mike, good morning to you. What do you have?
Well, good morning, Bill. And as you mentioned, Minnesota Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar has been in the crosshairs. She made the statement that there were insufficient guardrails to defrauded programs like Feed the Future. Speaking on Face the Nation, she defended against the fact that all but a handful of the suspects and convicts in this case are from Minnesota's Somali community.
This also has an impact on Somalis because we are also taxpayers in Minnesota. We also could have benefited from the program and the money that was stolen. And so it's been really frustrating for people to not acknowledge the fact that we're also as Minnesotans, as taxpayers, really upset and angry about the fraud that has occurred.
Analysts with whom we have been speaking say it's unlikely Omar would not have some exposure to the corruption. She introduced a legislation that created the program that was defrauded to the tune of $250 million. She also held a victory party.
Wait a minute, I got to stop it. Because I was on this show this morning on TikTok, and the black lady told me, well, it was a black man, and he was like, bro, it don't matter what they did. This is all about white folks, white supremacy, because white people couldn't even done this without white people. And the point that they just brought up here is the point that I brought up to this idiot. I said, dude, Ilhan Omar is Somalian. The politicians that they vote for are the ones who push in Congress, on Capitol Hill. They're the ones who push for the government to put money into these programs. So you vote in your Somalian congresswoman, she goes to Capitol Hill, and while everybody else is worried about important stuff, she's up in there trying to get people on board with her to support sending billions and billions of dollars to her community. See, this is one thing a lot of African Americans, Black Americans, that's what a lot of us don't understand. We're so caught up on race, we still don't understand that those people you vote for, their job is to go to Capitol Hill and fight for you to get things that you need and to get opportunities to put money in your pocket. When she got the billions sent to Minnesota for feeding our future, you know how many jobs that created for the Somalis in her community? Yeah, man, I work over at the local food kitchen. I make $25 an hour scooping soup and serving it to ghosts because they wasn't serving it to no kids because they didn't even feed no damn kids. Yeah, bro, I'm working down at the homeless shelter, but I'm driving a freaking Lambo because my dad gets a big fat check from the federal government to be the director of that homeless shelter. See, we don't understand that because we've spent so long in this country voting for and supporting people who give us absolutely nothing. Black folks can't even name their representatives in Congress, most of us. And if you can't name them, you damn sure can't tell me what they're doing for you in your community when they're on Capitol Hill all those days of the year. That's the difference between the immigrants. Soon as they get some power, soon as they get some leverage, they vote someone who looks like them into the position. And the person who looks like them goes to Capitol Hill and fights on their behalf. And that's what Ilhan Omar was doing. And she understood, if I'm able to secure these big government dollars for my community, if I'm able to get these big government payouts coming to my community, guess what? My community is going to keep supporting me. And guess what happened? She got all those billions of dollars sent to the Somali community in Minnesota. And guess what they did? They used a lot of those billions of dollars to fund her campaign to get her reelected. She's tied to the money. And she admitted that this happened and then said that she gave it all back. Girl, you didn't give back all of nothing. They're guaranteeing themselves position within American politics by paying for these campaigns with stolen money. You know, it's cost millions to run a campaign these days. And let me tell you what's crazy. The minute this fraud was discovered and there was an election for the mayor of Minnesota or whatever, and they couldn't fraud and steal money and use it to fund their campaigns, wouldn't you know it, the Somali guy lost to a white boy. Why? Because the money wasn't there. He didn't have access to stolen funds like Ilhan Omar does. Let me get back to this, but I just had to highlight that. Black folks, Black Americans still playing on the blackity black racism, blackity blackity black. Whole time, these people that you think is skin folk so they kinfolk, bro, they stealing your taxpayer money and using it to push you out of positions of power within your own community. Diabolical 3D chess type shit. And Black folks fall for it every time.
In 2018 at a restaurant called Safari, owned by Salim Ahmed Saeed, a major player convicted in the scheme.
I think all this will be investigated very thoroughly because there's really a national spotlight on Minnesota and all its problems. I mean, this is a scandal that is by far the biggest in state history.
White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller said on Friday the Somali fraud will prove to be the greatest theft of taxpayer dollars through welfare in U.S. history. And he says we have only begun to scratch the surface of how bad it is.
Okay.
Bill?
All right, Mike. Fox weather tells me it's 10 degrees in Minneapolis where you are. Wind chill -2. But Tobin is tough because he has summited Mount Everest. Thank you, Mike. Talk soon. Thank
Got
you,
it, pal.
Dana.
So let's bring in Kayleigh McEnany. She's host of Saturday in America, co-host of Outnumbered. You can find her everywhere, and we love it. Keith Ellison, who's the Attorney General, this guy, they need to look into him. This is what he said on a weekend show.
Let me just say this. We all want to protect the public dollar. We want to prosecute people who engage in fraud. We are up for that. But we can't do it on a partisan basis. We got to do it together. We can't use incidents like this to score a political point.
But as I pointed out last week on this show and on the 5, so he is the Attorney General there, used to run the DNC. He solicited political contributions from these groups that were stealing the money. And then when they were asking about these investigations into them, he said, don't worry, I'll tell them to knock it off.
Right. And he could have used a little more fervor in telling them to knock it off if he ever even did so, because it didn't stop. The real scandal of all this, Dana, is when you go down that New York Times story that brought a lot of
Listen, let her tell her little piece of the story.
Light to this issue. You find that in 2022, most of these prosecutions were underway or starting up. That was Merrick Garland. That was Joe Biden. Merrick Garland called this the country's largest pandemic relief fraud scheme. So where was the sprawling Biden-era investigation? His DOJ was working on it, but I asked Kelly Loeffler at SBA on Saturday, did your predecessor at SBA look into this? She said no. In fact, there were flags on loans for potential fraud in Biden's SBA, and they just let them out the door. So where was the Biden investigation? Where was the Keith Ellison investigation? This was known back in 2022.
Ilhan Omar is taking a lot of questions on this. Scott Bessent.
I'm not even gonna. I'm not even. I mean, I can blame Joe Biden because he was the president, but let's not fool ourselves. There's no way Joe Biden was running the country. The man didn't even know where he was. He barely could remember what his favorite flavor of ice cream was while he was standing there holding the freaking cone in his hand. If you're still goofy and gullible enough to believe that Joe Biden was actually running the country, I got some land to sell you on the moon. We know it wasn't Joe Biden because Joe Biden, at the end of the day, he's still a white person. He's still a career politician. He still understands we ain't going to give away the farm to a bunch of foreigners. Joe Biden didn't have no affinity for people of other races. He's one of the biggest races. I know he was not signing the executive orders and whatever else to allow this stuff to just pass by, to not be investigated. It was the people who were his handlers. And what did they do with Biden? They immediately, when he became president, the first thing they did was surround him with a bunch of radical, liberal, leftist advisors. You remember the little weirdo who he was bald-headed and he was a tranny or whatever? You remember that dude who used to steal people clothes out of their luggage at the airport? Remember that? And he got appointed to the Biden cabinet and then had to resign because he's working in the White House daily, and this fool's still stealing people clothes out of their luggage at the damn airport, getting caught on camera. Somebody has to be mentally ill to do something like that. And they put that dude in the White House with the president on a daily basis. The dude took a picture, bald-headed, wearing a dress for his official photo. He was crazy. Do you think Joe Biden, old white Joe Biden, with a son that's a dope fiend and another son who's a war hero, you think Joe Biden looked at that dude and said, yep, I want him in here? Joe Biden never knew. To these people, to Biden, these people were just names on paper. And if the advisor said do it, he was going to do it because he did not have the cognitive ability to really do anything else. If the wife said, oh, Joey, that's a great decision, he's going to do it. Joe Biden was the classic example of the emperor has no clothes. A better example I'll give you is, you remember when you were younger and you had a video game system and you would have two controllers and you be in there getting cracking on Call of Duty or the old Call of Duty or Medal of Honor, if you remember those, or Splinter Cell, and your mom, your little brother go cry to your mom, he won't let me play the game. And she's like, let your brother play the game. and he come in there and you had this dumbass a controller, but it ain't really connected. You know, and he's sitting up there really he thinking he controlling shit. That was Joe Biden. That was Joe Biden. He thought he was he was your little brother with a controller that's not even plugged up, thinking he's controlling the government. Whole time, the people around him were bleeding the ink out of that damn auto pen, doing what they wanted to do with him signing off on it with the auto pen. And we know this because when Mike Johnson went to President Biden and asked Joe Biden, hey, President Biden, I know you're going to do what you're going to do, but why would you stop the export of natural gas from America to all these countries that we sell natural gas to? He said, Mr. President, this is one of our largest exports. We make billions and billions of dollars for this country off of exporting natural gas, right? Joe Biden said, I never did that. He said, Mr. President, I have the papers right here. Joe Biden didn't remember doing it. Why would the president kill an industry that's making billions and billions of dollars for this country every year? Natural gas is not even harmful to the environment, but it is harmful to a radical, lunatic, environmentalist, leftist, liberal, right? And that's what Joe Biden was surrounded by. He was surrounded by these type of Looney Tunes, these type of lunatics. That in that moment, Mike Johnson should have moved for Joe Biden to be impeached. Article 25 of the Constitution. At that moment, Mike Johnson should have did that. But Mike Johnson was probably scared that if he got rid of Joe Biden, it would put that lunatic Kamala Harris in charge. So he said, okay, Biden destroying the country's economy might be a little bit better than having this crazy deranged woman be in charge. It's sad. It's like a catch-22. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Nah, I didn't play SNES. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. But when you see the types of decisions that were being made, you know, releasing loans for multiple millions of dollars to people with no investigation, people who've been in the country 2-3 years, stuff like that. Yeah. The president wasn't home. He wasn't there. He wasn't making the decisions because he would have known, hey, yo, this is going to be political suicide for me. And he simply would not have done it. But we know Ilhan Omar took a lot of that fraud money. She admitted it. She admitted to taking it and then said that she gave it back. Yeah, you gave it. My question is this. If you're just taking donations, if you weren't previously aware that there was fraud going on, how did you keep the money separate from your actual campaign money but to the dollar so you would know exactly how much to give back? She took that money, she held it to see if they would get caught. And when they got caught, then she started trying to get the money back. That's what happened. Hey, Ilhan, this money hot, girl. This money hot. And she was just like, okay, let me run that back after under-reporting what I received. That's how they do it. It's ridiculous. But we have another topic. Hey, guys, give me a 1 in the comment. If you're still with me, if you're following along, if you're loving what you hear, if you're loving the content right now, either say in the chat, I'm loving the content. Give me a 1 in the chat. If you're hating what you're hearing, give me a thumbs down. Give me a 2. We don't like it. Let's talk about something else. Let me know. Okay. I see the ones going up. Let me check my Cash App too, because when I get all the contributions, I don't want to leave nobody out. I've been leaving people out lately. But it's not on purpose, y'all. It's not on purpose. Okay. All right. So we good. We rolling. I got y'all. I'm helping y'all fall asleep, getting some of y'all through work. You know, that overnight shift. On the night shift. They used to make songs back in the day about any damn thing. I'm working 9 to 5. Like making songs about shit everybody doing. Okay. So now.
All right. So now
Oh, real quick. Let's talk about one thing quickly. So you guys know Ilhan Omar's best friend got arrested, right? Her homie, he got arrested. He got caught by ICE, which in my opinion only further proves that she's tied into this fraud stuff.
All right, this news just breaking moments ago. Fox News has obtained photos of one of the Somali illegal immigrants wrapped up in the Minnesota fraud scandal, posing with several high-profile Minnesota Democrats, including Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Governor Tim Walz. The man pictured is Abdul Dahir Ibrahim. He entered the country in 2000 and has had an order for removal since 2004. He also has a prior conviction in Canada for asylum and welfare fraud. ICE tells Fox News Ibrahim was granted temporary protected status for 10 years, but should have never been eligible. We are going to have more on this in our next hour.
So this guy got kicked out of Canada for fraud. He's now in America doing fraud. But also, while he's in America doing fraud, he's managing to be able to pose for pictures. Oh, hold on real quick. Did I mess up? Okay. He's managing to be able to pose for pictures with a damn vice presidential candidate. Look at this. He was ordered to be removed from America 4 years ago or 5 years ago or whatever. He's not only still in America, right? He's posing in pictures with high-ranking elected. That's the governor of Minnesota right there. If I'm an illegal immigrant and I've been already ordered to be removed, bro, I'm hiding out. I'm not going to be anywhere where any high-profile person is. Bro was so emboldened in his criminality, his frauding and stealing and violating orders of removal. Bro felt comfortable being in public spaces with high-ranking political officials. That's when you know you have a problem on your hand. And they're probably accepting him because he is giving them money. Look, he was indicted in Canada and removed for fraud. He was brought to America. He's now been indicted for fraud again. How much money do you think this guy was embezzling? How much money do you think this guy was stealing from the American taxpayers? And then if he's in all these political spaces and he has access to these political events, guess what? You don't think he was giving them money? You don't think he was funding some of their campaigns, giving them hundreds of thousands? They're not going to ask where the money came from. And let me tell you something. Kamala Harris, in my opinion, this is speculation, she's a criminal who, in speculation, allegedly is taking millions and millions of dollars from the South American drug cartels. Is it any coincidence that instead of picking, I think his name's Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, instead of choosing Josh Shapiro as her running mate, she chose Tim Walz, who is presiding over a state where billions and billions and billions of dollars in fraud is happening. And it's allegedly, but we can all pretty much guess that this guy has received much stolen funds from the Somali community to support his gubernatorial campaign and his vice presidential campaign. We were this close. We were this close to having a criminal syndicate as our president. We were this close to having two people who were totally sold out to crime syndicates as our commander in chief and vice president. This close. We were going to have a shine bomb Mexican presidency. We were going to have a Nicolas Maduro presidency where the cartels and the illegal fraudsters would have been controlling our government. You were this close, but Donald Trump is the problem. Your wives, your mama, your daughters, they were ready to, in the feminine males who voted for Kamala Harris, they were ready to sell your country out to wolves in sheep's clothing, who we're now finding out were potentially on the take for millions and billions for millions and millions of dollars from these people. And do you know where the other billions of dollars were going? They're finding out now. Scott Bessent said this, the Secretary of the Treasury. Scott Bessent said, wait. Not the Secretary of the Treasury. Oh, yes, he is. Yeah, Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, he said that they track the money, and the money is going to the Middle East into Somalia. What do you think they sending all them billions over there to do? He said these people use that money to buy properties in foreign countries. What do you think they're doing? Buying properties in the Middle East. You think they just sending it to some random Arabs out there? No, they're funding terrorism. Imagine your president and your vice president being bought out by criminals who not only bring drugs into this country, traffic people in this country, fraud the government programs to the tune of billions of dollars. Imagine your president and vice president being totally bought out by people who fund terrorism internationally. You were this close. You were this freaking close. I am an African. Shout out to you, bro. It's good to see you. 100%. Now we know where Kamala got that $1 billion from. How does a woman who can't even string a damn sentence together run the largest campaign fundraising campaign or operation in the history of United States politics? It's not like she's getting up on stage blowing them away with her rhetoric. It's not like she's getting up on stage blowing them away with her. She might be blowing them, but she's not blowing them away with her eloquent delivery. We know. Now we know. In the paper, this is why she's talking about, oh, I don't think I'm running for president again. Yeah, because you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught. You'd have to explain to me how Trump's selling us out, but I'm willing to listen to it. Okay, guys, let's get these super chats and these contributions. Let's go to the bros. Shout out to my boy, Sucker Season LA. Sucker Season LA Clothing. Shout out to the bro for the $5 holler. Salute to the channel. Salute to you, bro, and the clothing line. We about to start pushing. We about to start promoting that Sucker Season merch. It's awesome. I got a couple shirts. They're awesome. Shout out to my brother, LA Thorne the Martian. Brandon, you have to understand that they're trying to get Brolic with that retard strength by any means. Just kidding. You sick. Not retard strength. Thank you so much for the $5 holler, my brother. Shout out to Comma Classical for the $10 holler in the super chat. Is capitalism falling apart in your opinion? No, I think capitalism is stronger than ever. Everybody wants to be a capitalist. You just have some people who want a shortcut. You have people who want a shortcut and they don't want to put in the work to gain that capital. So they think I'm going to get it by having the government take it from other people on my behalf. That's basically it. I'm gonna get a head start by having the government steal it from the rich and give to the poor. But it's really not working. And like I always say, everybody's rich to somebody. Shout out to my boy Steve Chukwu in the comments. Long time no see, bro. But yeah, great time to build your credit. Great time to buy something. I would suggest go to the Midwest. Buy over there. Things are still cheap. Best believe me, the immigrants, the legal ones, and the illegal ones who get permanent residency, they're gonna go to the middle. They're gonna go to the Midwest and buy up where it's cheap. And you're gonna be looking stupid, saying, "Damn, I should have bought over there. I should have invested and bought that house." Buy now, because trust me, people are moving around this country looking for a cheaper life, a more affordable lifestyle. And they will eventually find everything. Southwest too. Right. New Mexico, Texas, places like that. But I'm telling you, places like Indiana, Missouri, Idaho still to an extent, Montana, Wyoming, man, you get you something over there for a little bit of nothing. And they've let millions of people into this country. So those millions and millions of people have to go somewhere. So you could be over there ahead of the game, selling them houses, selling them apartments, renting to them, whatever. Just get ahead of the game, and you in there. Let's move on to our next topic. Trump's big win. Trump was recently in front of the Supreme Court. He is looking to get a ruling from the Supreme Court, giving him the power to fire unelected government department officials. So, like, let's say somebody like the head of the FBI, the head of FEMA, the head of, the head of the Department of Education, the head of the USDA. These are all people who are appointed, but they're not elected. So Trump wants to fire them, some of these people, because they're doing a horrible job. But there's some precedent that was set in an earlier court case from years back that basically suggested that the president didn't have power to do this. But in my opinion, there are three branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial. If Trump is the executive, well, who fires you in a company? The chief executive officer ultimately will sign off on you getting terminated. How is he the executive, the head of the executive branch, but he does not have power to fire people who are unelected? It doesn't make sense. These people want to make the presidency nothing more than a symbol. They don't want the president to have any real power. They want it to just be they want it to be symbolic. They want these judges and these federal court judges, that's who they want to control. That's what they want. They want these people running these government agencies to have control, and the FBI and the federal court judges. And that's just not the way that America works. We vote for the president to represent our interests. He's our executive. We nominate him. We elect him. They're trying to take the power from the American people the way they do in their blue states. Rob the people of all power, force them to relinquish power over to the politicians by convincing them that the politicians know what's best for them. So I'm going to play a little clip so you guys can understand, so we can all get up to speed, to bring us up to speed. And I'll give a little more commentary. And we got to talk about another major victory. Trump is just winning. Let's tap in.
Justices are hearing a case today. Supreme Court, folks, where justices are hearing a case today that could determine how much power the president has over traditionally independent federal agencies. The case is over the firing of former Federal Trade Commission head Rebecca Kelly Slaughter. President Trump dismissed her in March, but lower courts ruled he did not have the power to remove her. The Supreme Court temporarily upheld the firing while it considers the case.
The message is do exactly what I want, or you're going to lose your jobs. And that is really, really in violation of the fundamental principle that the law should be administered without fear or favor.
Nah, it's BS because there's a lot of politics that are taking place within these agencies. What Trump wanted her to do was he wanted her to lower the interest rates to help ease inflation more quickly. But she's a Biden loyalist. So in her mind, leaving the interest rates high, refusing to lower them, that'll be a win in her for her party, right? Because it'll make Trump look bad and it'll make Biden look less bad, and it will make a potential Democrat nominee for president in the future look even better, right? This is what they do. This is what they do. They're being activist. They're operating based on political preferences, and then they try to pretend like they're not. If we are dealing with record high inflation, we know that lowering interest rates drives down inflation. We know that. Why wouldn't you want to lower the interest rates? Why wouldn't you want to lower the interest rates to restore people's confidence back in the American economy? Because it does you no good to help Trump look good. You want to make Trump look bad while making the people who agree with your ideology look good. And there's a lot of activist heads of departments in the government. Anthony Fauci was one of them.
And specifically, that means without fear of getting fired for failure to do a favor for the president's friends and allies.
All right, CBS News legal contributor and Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson joins me now to talk about this. Jessica, it's good to see you on this Monday. So a breakdown for our viewers. What are both sides arguing here?
So the president is arguing that he's the head of the executive branch and he gets to hire and fire people who work in the executive branch. This is a version of something called the unitary executive theory. Basically, he's on the top of that pyramid that is the executive branch, and he gets to make decisions almost with unfettered discretion. Then the other side, Slaughter, is arguing that Congress has said that Congress wants the FTC and many other agencies to have at least some independence. And
yeah, she's totally wrong. Slaughter's totally wrong. Anyone defending Slaughter is totally wrong. The president is the executive. Any of these departments that fall under the control of the executive branch, he can fire the heads of those departments and the employees if he wants to. It's like you work at McDonald's and someone trying to tell the CEO of McDonald's that he can't fire an employee. He can fire anybody. He can fire a manager, a district manager, an employee, the dude mopping the floors and scrubbing the toilets. That's because he's the executive. He's in charge. Congress, they're trying to bring up Congress. Congress is the legislative branch. They are the ones that present bills, write bills, and present those bills, right? Vote on them, approve them, and send them to the president to be vetoed or signed into law. They're legislative. Why are people trying to circumvent the power of the president, the executive, by using the legislative? They are the power of the purse. They control the money, the monetary aspect. But this is what happens when you have people who are willing to destroy your government so they can feel good about themselves and pat themselves on the back. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. These people think they're freedom fighters. These people think they're doing some type of service for the United States of America. by undermining the very statutes and laws that got us to the point of being the foremost country in the world, in the greatest country ever in the history of the world. You can't win a race by chopping your own legs off at the knees. And that's what these people are doing. Trump is the executive. He can hire and fire. That's a power that he will have for the next 3 years. Do you notice when it was Biden and people got fired? Nobody complained. It's just, in my opinion, these people don't like the way America is run. And guess what? Feel free to go to a third world country and see how much what you have to say is going to matter over there. They're not going to care. And if you kick up too much dust, they're going to deport you and get you out of there. These people are just dishonest.
That means the president can only remove people at will, for cause, not at will. And that's really what the court is going to look at, whether or not Congress can essentially throw a hurdle up and say, Mr. President, you can't remove somebody just because you want to. You have to find a reason to remove them.
So it's so interesting to me, Jessica, that in this ruling, the Supreme Court may actually transfer a vast power to the president of the United States. And what I find surprising about that is most of these conservative justices say that they are constitutionalists, that they look at the text of the Constitution, and that's how they think about the cases that come before the court.
Now he's about to lie. This light-skinned, bald-head black dude, he's about to lie right now. I never watched this video, but he's about to tell a lie. When you hear a liberal or liberal-leaning person bring up the Constitution, believe me, a lie is coming next. Because the founding fathers were not liberals. They weren't even Democrats. So to think that any of the things that they did were done under the scope or mindset of pretending to be virtuous in an effort to undermine their own country, that's not what they were thinking. These dudes fought and died to build this country. You think they're going to just give it away to whatever poor person decides to walk across the border? Hell freaking no. So to bring up the Constitution and the founding fathers, bull crap.
But the Constitution, and I'm not a lawyer, you are, as far as I understand, doesn't explicitly grant the president any such authority. And I guess over like 100 years ago, I thought the court unanimously agreed and rejected an argument that the president possessed it. Am I wrong on that?
You're exactly right. As always, you don't need to qualify with I'm not a lawyer. You're citing to Humphrey's executor, which is the precedent at issue here. I love this question, and I love the question because, as you point out, the conservatives on the court are originalists, meaning they focus on the text of the Constitution and what it means at the time that it was written. And I think they would say not that we are transferring power to the executive, but that we're righting a wrong, that we previously gave Congress this power. We incorrectly took it away from a president, whereas when you look at the language of the Constitution and you look at the grant of authority to, of course, we should remind everybody, not just this president, any president, it envisions the idea that the president gets to constitute the executive branch.
Right. This lady is just an activist lawyer, pretty much. What they're talking about when they're talking about the Humphreys executor, they're talking about a ruling in 1935. This was way back when that damn communist FDR was in charge, the guy who gave all the welfare and socialism, right? It was basically a case where Franklin D. Roosevelt was attempting to remove William Humphrey, who was at that time the head of the Federal Trade Commission. Franklin Roosevelt, he wanted to replace Humphreys because Humphreys was a conservative, and like I said, FDR was a damn communist. I don't like FDR. Herbert Hoover was the one who actually appointed Humphrey to be the head of the Federal Trade Commission, because he needed someone who could go in and fix it. It was all messed up, to align it, right? He wanted him to align the Federal Trade Commission with like new policies to make it better, to improve it, right? But Humphreys wasn't necessarily on board with FDR's New Deal policies, right? So FDR tried to get rid of him. And what I would argue is at that time, FDR did have the power to fire William Humphreys. But because for whatever reason, you might have had a conservative Supreme Court back then. They probably were like, nah, we're going to keep that dude in. So we have a little bit of a check on the power of Franklin D. Roosevelt, a guy who really liked to spend a lot of money on social programs. Basically it was determined that despite the Federal Trade Commission Act stipulating that a commissioner could only be removed for inefficiency, neglect or of duty or malfeasance in office, they basically ruled that, you know, the president just did not have the power to fire this person. There had to be some like legitimate reason for the president getting rid of him. But they ultimately ruled in favor of Humphrey's estate, and he died. But they basically ruled that the president didn't have the power to strip him out of his position. But many times, as was the case with Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court corrects a lot of things. They're correcting a lot of things that other Supreme Courts got wrong. I'll give you an example. Roe v. Wade, right? I'll give you another example. The Second Amendment, the right to carry. Yeah, a lot of different Supreme Courts ruled in ways that robbed the American people of their rights under the Constitution. For example, the Second Amendment. You have Supreme Courts ruling in favor of states that wanted to damn near ban guns and control what kind of magazine you could use and all this mess. That was a direct violation of the Second Amendment. But it's up to the interpretation of the judges at that time. And these judges, I believe, are a really good group because they're purely constitutionalists, in my opinion. And I believe they're going to get this one right when they give Trump the power to fire someone who he feels is underperforming. Why can't we get him out and get someone in who potentially could do better? Why would Trump fire the best person for the job to then put in a person who's worse at the job? That's not, businessmen don't do that. People who are success or performance driven, they don't do that. So I don't worry about Trump putting somebody in who's not as good. I know he's going to put somebody in to make him look good because he's an egomaniac. So he's gonna put somebody in that's gonna make him look good. If he's the executive, you're in the executive branch. If bro feel like it ain't working out, it ain't working out. There really don't even need to be a reason why, but hey, whatever. Guy's gonna be gone. Either way. I wish they would have let Trump fire Anthony Fauci, but they didn't. And look at all this stuff we're discovering now after the C-19 stuff has passed. So yeah, I'm not with that. I'm with the Supreme Court. I hope they rule in favor of Trump. You know, he deserves to be able to run the country the way he feels it needs to be run, so that it can be successful and prosper. And I don't think he should be getting that much flack about it. I don't like them giving the Trumpster too much flack. Okay. All right. So there's another big win Trump has achieved. I mean, this guy's always winning, right? Trump is, in his mind, he said he is always winning. And so the Supreme Court has decided to hear Trump's argument when it comes to the birthright citizenship. Many people feel like that alone,
breaking news now, this
is a win for Trump, that the Supreme Court is even going to hear it. And I don't know if you guys know the details on that, but basically Donald Trump is truthfully telling the facts about birthright citizenship. Birthright citizenship was never intended to be something where illegal criminal immigrants could come through, drop an anchor baby in this country and then use that baby as an excuse to stay here. Birthright citizenship was something that was put in place for slaves. It was put in place for slaves because even though they were released from slavery, for many, many years, slaves were not considered citizens. So what was put in place was the birthright citizenship. I think it was the 14th Amendment or something like that. I don't know the exact one. But it ensured that all children born to slaves, because they were born on American soil, would be American, officially Americans. Well, the immigrants abuse that. Get over here. Nigerians do it a lot. Mexicans do it a lot. I didn't see Nigerians. They'll fly over here 9 months pregnant just so they could drop a baby in America. And then that'll give them an excuse to stay here. That needs to be done away with. That's not helping our country. That's hurting our country. But it's good that the Supreme Court is listening to Trump's arguments on it, and I hope they overturn it.
Breaking news now, the Supreme Court says it will hear an expedited appeal of President Trump's attempt to end birthright citizenship by executive order. The court did not explain its decision, and the case will likely be heard next spring. For more than 100 years, courts, interpreted the Constitution to give U.S. citizenship to anyone born on American soil, regardless of the legal status of the parents. Now, that may hang in the balance. Our senior Washington correspondent, Devin Dwyer, joins me now. So this is clearly a huge deal and a lot's at stake, Devin.
A landmark case, Kira, and part of President Trump's immigration agenda, his crackdown he signed into law on the first day in office. And it's not the first time that the Supreme Court will look at this issue. You remember just about a year ago, the Supreme Court heard a case involving the president's attempt to end birthright citizenship. But at that time, the justices were squarely focused on whether individual courts around the country could block the order while the litigation continued. They ultimately said that nationwide injunctions were not okay, but judges found ways around them. That executive order remains on hold. Birthright citizenship is still the policy of the land, but now the president is back to the Supreme Court asking them to decide this issue on the merits. Even though, as you mentioned there in the intro, more than 100 years of legal precedent has established and reaffirmed that the Constitution does in fact spell out that anyone born on American soil is an American. And what the justices said this afternoon is that they are now going to take it up, decide it once and for all, likely next spring, Kira, when they schedule the case, and hand a decision down before the end of June.
So does the fact that the court will take up this case indicate how it might eventually rule on the issue?
It's a great question. Sometimes it does indicate that there's interest on the part of the court to overturn lower court decisions. But most legal analysts that I've talked to, Kira, say the reason the court is getting involved here is simply because of the magnitude of the issue, the attempt by President Trump repeatedly now to push this issue to the forefront. But all of the federal courts around the country that have looked at this issue in the past, 8-9 months since President Trump took office have all unanimously ruled that it is unconstitutional, it is illegal, and they've put it on hold.
Okay, so I think that was well explained. We're going to see. Do I think Trump's going to get this one? I don't think so. It's just too many people want to have babies in America as anchor babies. But if he does, I'll be happy about it. That was for us. And then everybody came and exploited it. And let's be real, they abused it. They abused it. How many of these Somalis who Trump has issued deportation orders for, how many of them right now trying to get pregnant and evade the law for 9 months so they could drop a baby on this joint? How many of those Somalians who were under temporary protective status, how many of them, while they were here, were having kids? And now those kids are citizens, and they're not going to separate the kids from their parents, right? Who knows? But I don't know why the collar on my shirt is acting up, but whatever. It's giving me a hard time. I like this shirt too. But yeah, so who knows what's going to happen with that, but we shall see. I will stay on top of that situation and keep you up to date on it. Guys, please do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe to the content if you have not already. Shout out to all my people watching on X. Shout out to all 15 of you. Shout out to all my people watching on Rumble, bro. We got like 30 people in the house on Rumble tonight. Praise, blessings to y'all. And shout out to my 50 people on YouTube. I want to get these YouTube numbers up. So y'all share this to y'all friends on YouTube. I'm trying to get my YouTube numbers back to where they was. They used to be at like solid 200. And I think we could do it. Because I think people are saying like, B, you back at it. You consistent. Let's do it, man. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. How long has that been a law? Shoot. Couple hundred years? Like, it's been a long time. Guys, I'm telling you. So birthright citizenship has been a part of the Constitution for over 150 years. It was ratified. The citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. I mean, it's pretty clear. Trump is Trump is right. Trump is 100% right with what he's saying, but two things can be true. Trump is right, but also the language of the Constitution doesn't bar people who just come over here to drop anchor babies. So, yeah, if I stick with the Constitution, I have to go against Trump in this case. But if you want to get into the context of it, Trump is 100% right. If I'm a justice sitting on that Supreme Court, I'm going to have to keep it real. I don't want no anchor babies here, and I know that was for the slaves. But it's going to be, I would literally have to sit and think about it for a while. But I would probably end up saying, you know what? If they're here and they have anchor baby, the baby's a citizen. But at the same time, I don't believe in separating families. So if their parents got to go, they got to go too, and they come back when they're 18. That's what I would do with it. But we getting educated tonight. That's what we do. We educated in this piece. Who needs a college class? You could just watch this channel. Between me and AI, you're going to get a solid education. Let's go over to the land of the dead, Chicago, Illinois. Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, and I'll be there in a little bit, a couple of weeks. He's melting down in real time because his bill, his tax hike that he wanted to pass, further burdening the people of Chicago with his tax and spend woke socialist communist policies, has failed to pass in a city council vote. And this guy is pissed off. He no happy. He no happy about the outcome. Shoot, let me unmute
Council are proposing is an antiquated, outdated, the formation in which some members of city council are.
Let's see how long it takes him to start talking about Nazis. Let's see how long it takes him to start talking about Nazis.
The formation in which some members of city council are proposing is an antiquated, outdated, neoliberal, quite frankly, and austere approach that has created the type of consternation that exists today. Check this out. There are a number of city council members who signed their name to the same community safety surcharge back in 2017 for a higher amount and less employees. So here's what I suggested. How about instead of 50 employees, we go to 100? How about instead of $33, we go to 21? Does that count as compromise? Think about Chicago from 1973 to 2014. Can you look outside these windows and see evidence of job killing and people being whacked? In fact, if you look at our economy, it grew substantially under this particular revenue stream. Here's what I can also tell you. When it went away, there's no empirical evidence that somehow it made us more competitive. In fact, when it went away, guess what came in its place? 3 consecutive years of property tax increases, fines, and fees. Over $500 million. There's more evidence that with this revenue stream going away, that working people had to do more. I'm just saying, if anybody's gotten whacked, it's been genuine working people in this city. We have seen a decline in population as a result of these failures. We have had austere budgets that have driven people out. We saw it right here in Chicago. School closings, the shuttering of mental health clinics, the dismantling of public housing, protection of the interests of privatizers. And where has that gotten us? It's gotten us into this economic despair that I'm working to pull us out of. The fact that 80% of property taxes go towards pensions, I can tell you that is more evidence that the way it has been done in the past has proven to be a failure.
Boy. So once again, we got to talk about Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, who is facing a lot. Yeah, man, this guy is an idiot. Like, oh, they agreed to something worse than this a while back. All this type of stuff. Look, man, they're not about to go against their constituents, and their constituents are saying that your policies are driving business out of the city, which is driving jobs out of the city. Your socialist communist experiment has failed. People woke up and common sense owned the day. Why would you continue to try to press and force people to do something that you know is not going to work? Guys, this man, Brandon Johnson, talks about this like it has not already happened. He talks about this like people haven't already tried to implement this stuff in other places. If you go look over at Seattle, Washington tried this crap. Seattle, Washington tried this. Or was it? Yeah. Seattle, Washington tried this a couple years back. They tried to put the head tax on Amazon. Amazon was ready to leave. Amazon said, we're not going to stay here and let you put basically an illegal tax on us. You're not going to tax our success. You're not going to tax us for providing opportunities for the people of your city. Walmart shut down. Look, they had 2 facilities they was planning on being there. Shut them down. They shut down the construction. They had a bunch of stuff they was trying to bring to Seattle, Washington. They stopped. They laid off. They were going to lay off a bunch of people, and it got to the point where the citizens of Seattle, Washington, were at each other's throats. Because on one hand, you got the do-gooders. They were trying to do the head tax to raise money to take care of the homeless, right? But then the people who are working, who were getting laid off because Amazon wasn't going to pay their head tax, they said, dude, look, you're trying to help the homeless. But while you're trying to help the homeless, is making me homeless. And so the people were going at each other. It was creating a very volatile situation. And so what ended up happening was the Seattle City Council, they did an emergency meeting and voted to repeal that tax. And the person who was leading the charge for that tax, Katie Wilson, I think her name's Katie Wilson, the white lady, she was a council member at that time, and she was mad that the council repealed that tax, right? Well, now she's mayor. She got elected mayor of Seattle, Washington. So guess what she's trying to do? She's trying to reinstitute that policy. She's trying to reinstitute that failed policy because she is a communist. They don't care if what they say works. They don't care if it's going to work or if it doesn't make sense. All they care about is it makes me feel good. And it keeps the communists and the anarchists and the George Soros people, it keeps them putting money in my bank account. That's all they care about. So Brandon Johnson can't even have a good idea. He steals bad ideas from other failed communist politicians. And what he's trying to do is going to have the same impact as what Katie Wilson and them tried to do in Seattle. It's going to drive business out the city. And the black folks who get laid off, and the people, period. The folks in Chicago who get laid off, they're going to be at war with the people who are trying to impose these taxes. They're going to say, you trying to help the homeless, you trying to help the poor, but you're doing it while you're doing that, you doing that is making me homeless and making me poor. And you have no answers or solutions for me. Guys, I'm living in Los Angeles. No matter how much money they throw at this homelessness situation, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to work. Because if someone is homeless because they want to stay outside all night and smoke crack, giving them a free apartment is not going to change that. It's not going to change that. There's a crazy lady. I used to keep my dogs off of Central and 89th Street. There was this crazy lady who used to be out there sleeping outside, lighting fires outside to keep warm. Crazy with this crazy wig on. She used to wear these tights, just disgusting situation, right? They gave that lady a free apartment. If you go to 89th and Central right now, she will show you the keys to her apartment. She'll tell you the address to the apartment, but she'll never go to the apartment. Nah, I just like staying around here. She got the apartment. She has free rent. She has keys to the apartment. So there's a family right now who needs that apartment. They can't get it because a dope fiend, an elderly dope fiend, has that apartment and she's not even sleeping there. These policies, these proposals, they are redundant. They are ignorant to the facts and reality. They're homeless by choice because they want to smoke crack. You understand? It's not as simple as oh, if they homeless, let's give them a home. But they'll keep telling you that because that will allow them to keep stealing your money, stealing your taxpayer dollars. So Brandon Johnson is a diabolical fiend, and I don't like him. And I'm mad that he has my same name, bastard. But so he's not even thinking of any original ideas, bro. He's literally recycling failed ideas at this point and expecting you to get on board with it. Crazy. Would you believe it?
Now, because there are what cities, who you turn to, where are you looking at? Head text is such a great idea.
Is hostile towards your idea, that is really bad.
All right. So if the head text is such a great idea, where is it working now? Because there are what cities, who you turn to, where are you looking at and saying, wow, wish we were doing what they're doing, because I can't find one.
Well, look, if you're asking me if I believe that there is a model that's better than the city of Chicago right now, I'm going to tell you there isn't. We are setting the trend.
Which is why Brandon Johnson broke down in tears and doing one of these press conferences over his desire to raise taxes, okay? Because apparently this guy doesn't know how to balance a budget unless he can raise taxes on businesses, which ends up running them out of the city, which means that the people who are living in the city, aka the middle class, the lower income folks, the people who own property, they have to end up footing the bill, right? Because their property taxes have been raised. And they're now revolting against the administration due to the fact that they're having to foot the bill for tax the rich, right? That is what's happening in Chicago. But
yeah, so Greg's making one point. I'm making another point, right? The point I'm going to make is this. She asked him, where is this working? He says so Chicago is the model, right? Because he knows that everywhere else where they've tried this, it's failed miserably. He knows that everywhere they have tried this head tax thing, it has failed miserably. It's a bad idea that keeps getting brought back to life like a damn zombie. It keeps reanimating, right? It keeps reanimating. And none of these liberal, socialist, communist politicians have the balls to accept, hey, this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. They keep using it because people keep falling for it. It's just like the abortion thing. They never codified Roe v. Wade because they wanted to keep using Roe v. Wade like a political football. It's not going to work. It's failed in many cities before. Chicago is not going to reinvent the wheel. And Chicagoans are not ready to hit rock bottom while Brandon Johnson attempts to reinvent the wheel. So how's he going to get it to pass? He's not. He's going to cry like a baby at his own press conference because nobody's agreeing with him. He wants to take his ball and go home. He don't want to play anymore.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson shedding some crocodile tears today after his beloved corporate head tax proposal got nixed from the city council's alternative budget proposal.
There are lines of Chicagoans right now of people who do not have food, you guys.
This guy.
And if you've never gone hungry, you wouldn't know why I have that urgency.
This guy is pathetic. He tried to bring up Chicagoans not having food as an excuse to tax businesses out of Chicago, which is going to create more Chicagoans who don't have food and don't have a place to live. Whose mom was on crack? I see y'all. Hey, stop arguing in the comments about somebody mama being on dope. Y'all too funny. Y'all crack me up for real. Hey, but yeah, this guy is the fakest fraud ever. He starts. Hold on one second. He starts crying. This guy always tries to appeal to someone's emotions. Oh, you guys don't understand. There's people in lines. They're probably immigrants. They should line up to go back to where they came from. There's plenty of tacos and burritos and shit where they came from. Don't bring that up to us. He's basically telling you, I want you to be homeless and poor to fight homelessness and poverty. That doesn't work. Shout out to my brother from another mother in the comments. Ali, my brother. This is like my blood. This guy's like blood to me. Understand that.
If you've never opened up your refrigerator and there's nothing in it,
this is ridiculous.
The poverty sucks.
Yo, I'm trying. Listen, here's the thing, right? I don't mean no harm.
Nah, ain't nobody trying to laugh at bro like that, but bro killing me. Bro is killing me. This man started crying and said, poverty sucks. We know poverty sucks. That's why we're not trying to let you put us in it. Duh. We know poverty's terrible. That's why we don't want us or our children to experience it. So you can feel good about being the communist warrior.
Interested in defending these big corporations than families like mine who went without food and electricity and could not afford rent and mortgage.
What is this?
Give me something I can work with.
It's wild.
Maybe acting's in his future? I don't know. Well, this head tax he's got so emotional about is his genius idea to fill a massive 2026 budget hole, which would charge companies with more than 100 employees $21 per employee per month. Now, it's part of his larger $600 million proposed tax increases for the year.
For more, let's bring in Chicago Alderman Raymond Lopez. So, Raymond, I know how much you...
Y'all so funny, but this interactive show. Nah, man, I'm being real with you, cuzzo. My mom never smoked crack, man. Be real, cuz. Did your mom smoke crack? Be real. You could tell us F with it. My mom never smoked crack, man. My auntie smoked a gang of crack, but my mom never smoked crack. My auntie, she still smoked crack shit, but not my mom, nah. Thank goodness, shoot.
You love the city of Chicago, and none of us, not at this table or where you are, want to see anybody go hungry. Is this an issue of not being compassionate, or is this an issue of not balancing a budget?
This is an issue, guys, of how do you perform the best in order to sell the worst policy possible that's going to shift the burden of taxation away from downtown as you continue to chase businesses out and put it on the property owners, the homeowners of the city of Chicago, who are already seeing a 16% increase in their property taxes thanks to his policies that have chased businesses out of this city. What the mayor doesn't tell people while he's tearing up for the cameras is that just last year he tried to stick homeowners with a $300 million property tax increase.
He did.
As well as hundreds of millions of dollars in new fines and fees. He's doing it again this year, but in order for him to make that campaign pledge that he wants to tax the rich, this is the performance we get. It has nothing to do with helping everyday Chicagoans because he had none of these tiers when he was giving away $600 million to take care of 60,000 Venezuelan migrants here in the city of Chicago.
Also, just for the folks at home, you've got a D next to your name. So you're a Democrat. You're in the same party as the mayor.
That's the crazy thing. The Democrats in his own city don't support him because he's a far leftist. He's past just a Democrat. He's a far leftist, damn near socialist. Maddie Peace. Man, look, I appreciate Maddie Peace for being up here. Maddie Peace is a liberal, I think. You want to come up and express your views, you can have a little platform. I won't say anything, but you can come up here. You could click this link. I'm gonna give you the link. You could click this link and come up here and talk. I would love to hear what you have to say, because you said, and many citizens are supporting the killing government for what they are after. And you also said, we are not poor, and the wicked rob us and trample us for their selfishness and stuff. Oh, she's at work. Okay. She's a blessing. She has a job. She's not a freeloading socialist. Yeah. I don't know the killing government stuff. I feel like our government kills, to keep us safe, and they kill to in the name of American interests. Americans like to have stuff for cheap, free, and they want it to be quality. And you got to crack some eggs to make an omelet. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I agree with all of it. Damn, look at this collar. Look how my collar is doing me wrong. I don't know why it's like that. Maybe because my neck is fat or non-existent. I don't know. This is a nice shirt. Other than that, I'm gonna have to get rid of it. Got this from Target. But anyway, yeah, I'm not saying I agree with all of it, but I have to be honest and tell you I benefit from it. As do you. And I've been in the third world. I've been in the Middle East. I've been to Europe. Been to poor neighborhoods in Europe. Been to really poor neighborhoods in the Middle East, Africa. Yeah, I don't want to trade places with them. I like America. I like being over there. Jehovah told me you about to go through something. I don't like Jehovah, but he still speaks to. Hey, don't be putting that on me, bro. Stop it, bro. Stop it, Rob. But guys, listen. This is how they do. Snake oil salesmen always trying to appeal to you through emotion so you can allow them to screw you over. That man knows good and well what's going to happen, right? He knows what's going to happen. He knows the corporations and companies will leave. That will make many Chicagoans unemployed. Understand that. And then on top of that, he's going to impose property taxes on them to force the bad idea to work. This is what I'm seeing Democrats doing. Democrats are coming through with a ton of bad ideas, and they are using your American taxpayers' dollars to force these ideas to work. That's all I can say about that. If that's what you're into, if you want to keep voting for stuff that you think is going to come from the rich, and then watching as your politicians you support cleverly spin it back on you, we'll keep voting Democrat. I won't do that for your sake and my sake. I'm not about to have that happen. Homeless people are homeless for many reasons. Those reasons need to be addressed. Stop trying to just, smash ants with a sledgehammer. Stop trying to just throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. You have to get down and get a firm grasp and understanding of the nuance and the context. Shout out to my brother, Comma Classical. My goal is to get you off Trump. You too smart for your own good. I'm sorry. Listen, I just think things through, man. I just think things through. But anyway, shout out to Maddie Peace. My girl's in the building. I like Maddie Peace. I like her comments. They're good. Yeah, America is working. Nigeria is not. Sure is it. You're 100% right. But guys, that is the end for us tonight. I'm going to clip these segments up. So tomorrow, look for these segments to come right at you. Thank you so much for watching this. I appreciate everything you do for me and this channel. Shout out to all my day ones, all my kinfolk. Appreciate y'all so much. Till next time, take care of yourselves. But most importantly, please do me a favor and take care of each other.